Hey, this is Lex, and welcome to another episode of Lipstick and Liberation. Guys, we are starting season 2. Thank you so much for coming back. I have to admit to you guys, it was hard to want to continue with all the things that were going on in this country, especially with the murder of Charlie Kirk and the way the backlash happened with that. It was very scary times, especially for people like me on the left who are trying to promote resistance even in the smallest ways. It really felt like at that time it wasn't even safe to speak. And I find that so disturbing that we live in a time right now where we're scared to speak. We're afraid of the backlash. We're afraid of people turning on us because of speaking, and not even speaking like in an inflammatory way, in a way where we're trying to inform each other and keep each other safe. But what's happening to women right now, what's happening in this world where people are casually talking about taking away our right to vote, taking away our right to decide if we want to have children, taking away our rights to go to school. I knew I couldn't sit back and be silent. Like, I love my audience and I missed you guys. So I came on back, and I'm going to get back to being consistent and putting out an episode every week. But I just wanted to let you guys know I am so worried about how things are going. But in all of that, I'm here for women. I'm here for everybody who is trying to fight the patriarchy. And I'm here to provide you with ways that you can do it in the convenience of your day-to-day schedule, in your home, in your interactions. I know we're all out here trying to survive, especially in this economy. So I'm here to help you grow in your feminism. We're going to talk about current events like we always do. We're going to talk about the political things that are going on. We're going to encourage each other through sisterhood, how to survive this, and how to change our thinking about our interactions with men so that we can get the best outcomes in life. Thinking about decentering men, thinking about living our lives for ourselves. So as I always say, even though I'm not wearing lipstick right now, guys, I'm remodeling, so I do not have video companionship this week. But so with my lipstick, as with misogyny, I always get the shade right. And we're going to jump right into it. This week, I really want to talk about women and the choices that they make with men. We're going to talk about famous rappers Cardi B and Nicki Minaj this week. And what I want to start out talking about is this. We know that these women have wealth and status that most of my listeners don't have. I don't think any of you guys are multimillionaires. But if you are, please subscribe and feel free to come to my page and buy me a coffee. But no, I think I service people who are middle class, just like me, if not lower middle class. But what I always encourage you to do is to try to learn from other women who are living on a more public scale. Some of their mistakes are things that we can learn from, and they may not even see them as mistakes. As women, we are not socialized to see our interactions with men, even when they are going in a catastrophic direction, as mistakes, because we're socialized to believe that the love that men give us, this fictitious emotional feeling we have. I'm not saying love isn't real, you guys, but romantic love is extremely conditional and can be taken away for anything. And sometimes it's not real on the part of our partner. We really don't know. You know, we're out here believing we are loving somebody that's loving us back, and sometimes they are not. Some people are actually incapable of love, but they are really good at faking it. You'll find this especially true with people who have problems with empathy, and the gender that has the most issues with empathy is men. So a lot of women are in these relationships with people who don't actually love them back. They just see them as a means to something. But we are all in. We're pouring all in. We're making decisions that are terrible for ourselves because we think we love these people. And so I want to talk about these ladies. Now, I'm a big Cardi B fan. I'm not a fan of Nicki Minaj. I've never been a fan of her. Even before I became a feminist, there were just too many things about her that rubbed me the wrong way just as a woman. But I can never deny her success and her ability to navigate that male-centered world, even though I do think some of the ways she did that were detrimental to women. But even as I love Cardi B, I gotta say, her taste in men and her choices in men have puzzled me. I'm very glad that she got out of her abusive relationship with Offset and she's getting a divorce. I do believe that was an emotionally and psychologically abusive relationship based on what she has been saying. But what I always tell people, I'm a survivor of emotional, psychological, domestic abuse. When you get out of those type of situations as a woman, you need to spend time by yourself because you were bamboozled, baby. You were fooled. And you stayed through some stuff that had you not been fooled and had you not been in love, you would have packed your things up and walked away a long time ago. My marriage was only 3 years long, but the kind of person I am relationships when they feel uncomfortable, typically pretty quickly. So for me to stay in a relationship that I would say only 1 year did not involve any kind of emotional or psychological abuse, so for 2 years before ending it, that would be a lot for me. After I ended it, I spent a year in therapy because I really wanted to understand what was it about that situation that made me stay, that made me dishonor myself, that made me not listen to myself. And I did not date men for a year. And what was radical about that for me is that I said, when I got in that relationship, I had one boyfriend before that one. Then I met my second boyfriend and I told him I want to be married. And a year from when we started dating, he proposed to me. And then we got married. And basically, right after the ring went on, the mask came off. I can't say that there weren't little things before, but it felt like little moments where he just got a little bit angrier than I thought was normal. But, you kind of brush those things off because everything else looks great. Everything else was great. He was a provider. He was paying the bills. We were planning things. We mostly seemed to get along, except for these random outbursts. And they became more numerous, more strange. I could not understand what was happening. Somehow it was always my fault. Even when I would rationalize and sit out and point out like step by step how this literally didn't make sense that it was my fault. It was always my fault. But I wanted to be married. I actually enjoy being married. Even all of that stuff going on, I enjoyed it. I liked knowing who I was coming home to. I liked having plans, knowing who I was going to do everything with. But once I had my son and I realized that I did not want my son to grow up in a household where that kind of stuff was going on, and I deserved better. I knew I deserved better. I think I was just waiting for that person to give me better. I think my ego made me think that this person is not going to blow this relationship with me. He's going to get better. And I think that's what made me stay, is that I thought I could will and be the thing that made everything better. I could make him become better. And when you kind of realize that you can't control what other people do, I think women have that pressure. We have that belief that if we are just this upstanding example, if we make everything as easy as possible, then our man is he's going to turn it around. He's going to get it together. And once you realize that's a lie and you don't deserve that workload, you can get out and escape. So once I escaped and I went to therapy, I told myself, you were so focused on getting married. When you date now, have fun. I don't really want a man to live in my house anymore. I don't really want to be in a serious relationship anymore. If I ever get married again, it will strictly be because that person has far more than me financially. They're not an angry person. And I can still do what I want to do. If those things are not present, then it will not happen again. And I can say that I've been divorced 4 years. I have not met anybody else like that. I've not gotten into a bad situation like that. I have spotted a couple people, and as soon as somebody rubs me the wrong way, they are gone. And I'm proud of myself because I'm not repeating those patterns, because I know so many women. I was in survivor groups who, like we're talking about now, got right back into another relationship. And because they didn't take that time to heal or really look at themselves and figure out why they got into that situation, what it was about them that didn't have them leave right away, they wound back up with another abuser. And so that's why I always caution women, take some time. And so when Cardi, when we're talking about her, she left this marriage and now she is pregnant again, like less than a year after she had her last baby with Offset, which is like medically advised against. You should really wait a year between babies. Like that's a health thing. But, I wanted her to have fun. I hoped, anytime I see a woman suffering, I want her to have fun. When she gets away from her husband, I want her to have a good time. But I was kind of like, wow, like, I don't understand how women have so much stress to go out and get a second baby daddy when your first one's a nightmare. Like, one thing about me, I have my one child, and I really thought about if I wanted to get married again or have another kid, like I said. Part of me always wanted 3 children, but after I realized what I was dealing with, I got my tubes out. Like, dealing with this administration, realizing and seeing how much other women were dealing with men like this. Like, it's very common for women to have a contentious child's father. The women who have somebody they get along with, they're not going to talk as much. They're probably more out there than we know. But the people who are out here talking, they're the ones that have the contentious child's father. And I knew, I was like, what I'm dealing with is already enough. It wouldn't be fair to my kid for me to add that kind of stress to my life. So I got my tubes out. No more kids for me. So I know that she's in a different tax bracket and there's other things going on. I never say you can know that the decision a woman made overall was the worst one for her just without knowing all her circumstances. However, we can evaluate that from our position and decide that that's probably not the best. I would definitely say leaving a bad situation like that with a toxic person, the last thing you want to do is go out and get pregnant again so soon. A lot of people fear being alone. And as women, we're socialized to fear that. And I want to tell you guys, it's okay to be alone. It's preferable to be alone, honestly. And I think the older you get, the more you realize, like, you really don't need these relationships. When you cast off the social expectations of what being a woman is, being with a man don't even make a lot of sense. But what really doesn't make a lot of sense is giving them more power in your life. Like, Having a child with a man gives them so much power to disrupt your life for that entire 18 years that that child is there and in your custody. And I really don't think women think that through. Like, we came from a past where a lot of men used to abandon their children, but now since child support is garnished from checks, and custody is, men are trying to get custody because they don't want to have to pay so much child support. It's not like the old days of the classic deadbeat daddies where you had your baby and you just worried about if you could take care of the baby by yourself. So if he left, you had, you could take care of it. They stick around now and they use whatever power they can against you. So you're really signing yourself up for a lot of unknowns when you choose to have a baby with a man. And especially when you haven't known that long, like there's just so much. I didn't think that that was the best choice. I can't tell her, that's her life. And I'm not going to judge her. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and talk about her as a person, like in a negative way. I just want you guys to think about that. If you're in a similar situation, a second baby daddy is never the answer. A second baby daddy is never going to be the solution to your problem. The solution to your problem is loving yourself, is spending time with yourself, is prioritizing yourself. When you're born a girl, people make it seem like you're supposed to live a life that is for everybody else. And you're going to try it. Unless you were raised by a very strong feminist woman or you got exposed to that kind of stuff, you're going to try it. And I'm going to tell you just like what I did. Once you try it, if it doesn't work out, please go out and try to live for yourself. Please stop trying to uphold this duty that you're expected to reproduce and couple. Like, Cardi has this really great career. And I really feel like even with this album coming out, it was kind of crazy for her to get pregnant again. She's been pregnant like every album release. But like, again, that's her work ethic. She's got whatever she's got going on over there. I know she's doing what she got to do. But I'm just saying, as a woman to woman, just speaking in general, put your career first. Put spending money first. Put going on trips first. Put getting another degree first. Put yourself first. Put investing in yourself first. When you get out of these bad relationships, make sure you are spending time healing because you don't want to get back in another one. I promise you, a bunch of bad relationships is going to wear down on your mental health. You're not going to be the parent you want to be to your children. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be looking good. It's going to suck the life out of you if you keep getting back into bad situations. Please understand, if you need permission, some of us have been raised to where we don't feel like we're people pleasers. We don't feel like we can do something unless somebody gives us permission. This is me giving you permission to not date and to focus on yourself, to make yourself the love of your life, to make yourself the person you want to get with. And if you got to get you a little something on the side, if you need you a little appointment with a certain something so that you can feel good, if the toys aren't doing it, find you somebody safe that you can do that with. But don't turn it into a situationship. Enjoy it, but make sure you're the focus. Don't be cooking, cleaning, spending all that time listening to his problems. No, be about yourself. If you spend a lot of time being about yourself, I believe you will build your boundaries and your standards up so much that the next time, if you do choose to go out with a man, you are going to pick a better one. You can't break the pattern if you are continuously doing the same stuff you've always done and never prioritizing yourself. Women spend so little time doing things for themselves. So that's what I would have hoped that I would have saw her do with this new album coming out. The new album is great. I love it. I constantly have it on repeat. But I would have loved to see her spending time just building up her empire and enjoying herself, healing from that bad experience that she had. But that's not my life. It's not my job here to tell women how to live their lives. I'm just here to give you some suggestions. I'm here to tell you that it's another way, because we often are told to just move on, pick up the pieces, move on, get another man, start another family. You don't have to do that. This is me giving you permission to live for yourself. And we talk about like who you choose. Like, so many people talk about how Nicki Minaj's husband, who is really one of the most horrible choices she could have made. Like, I don't understand as a woman what would have made her want to marry somebody, her being so rich, who brought nothing. He brings nothing to the table. I always tell you guys, if you guys are going to date a man needs to be making more money than you. He needs to be paying all the bills. You still need to work, but living with a man should cost you nothing financially, because it's going to cost you some things emotionally. They are mostly not raised to be emotionally safe people. Never mind the physically safe and all of that other stuff. But if you're going to be with a man, he should not be costing you any money. You should be stacking your money, because you need to be able to leave if he starts clowning. So to be a woman, to be a rich woman, take in a man who is bringing nothing financially to the table, who has raped another woman, who is a murderer, doesn't seem too bright. I don't know. When I look at him, he looked like he's not that bright. I don't know. Maybe he is. I don't know. When you could have had anybody. I don't see an upside to that. And in doing this, I really think whatever's going on with her, and I think too, she's a bad person. I think that's why she picked that person. I think she's just not a good person. But you're watching her brand is like going down the toilet. And this is somebody who really doesn't care about her enough to even try to step in and help her. You know, a partner should be somebody who can tell you, hey, you know, you're tripping. You need to get a little bit of help. And she doesn't even have that. Instead, she has this person who is a liability publicity wise. And now she's like going spiraling down the drain, and she doesn't have anybody that can help her or stop her. They're saying he's running up her American Express cards. I don't know if that's true. That's alleged, of course. You know, that's what Cardi said during the little beef they had. But imagine what her life would have been like if she had never made those choices. Maybe she'd still be a terrible person, but she probably wouldn't be having somebody running up her American Express card. Would nobody be able to constantly point out the fact that she is married to and giving like comfort to a sex offender? Like, that's one of the reasons I will not support her music. I'm not going to give you money to house a rapist. That's crazy. As a feminist, I will never be able to do that. That's insane. But the choices you make in men, they are a reflection on you. That man is a reflection on you. It's a reflection on what you value. So that's why I say take time to heal. You want to choose wisely, because picking the wrong man, I feel like I was set back a few years from my choice. And I wasn't in that marriage that long. I still feel like I am recovering from that divorce financially. I'm doing okay. But when I think about where I was in that marriage versus now, I got a long way to go to get back to that status. And I wasn't even dealing with all that stuff that they're dealing with. So you have to be mindful about that. People treat love too casually, like it's something that just happens to you and you're just going to break up. No, this could destroy your mental health. This could destroy you financially. This could have you out here behaving a whole different way if you choose incorrectly. Please be so protective of your peace. If you're going to date, if you're not going to be 4B, if you're not just going to have you a little piece on the side that you can hit up, but y'all are not emotionally connected, and so that person is not interfering in your life financially or stressing you out. If you insist on dating men, get the best deal for yourself. Hold out for the best deal for yourself. That's why I tell you guys to get used to being alone. If you're used to being alone, you're not going to jump on the first thing smoking that comes over. You're going to get a good deal for yourself. That's what women are not socialized to do. Get a good deal for yourself. You're going to pick a man that's going to give you what you want. If he says something that you don't want, you're going to release him back into the wild. You're not going to compromise because you're not desperate. Take some time to breathe that brokenness, that lack of willingness to hold a man accountable out of sight of yourself. Because if we don't hold men accountable, other men are not going to hold them accountable. You have to hold them to account yourself. So until you're able to do that, until you're able to say, you know what, if he cheats, I'm out, stay single. You are beautiful. You are fabulous. You are wonderful. You are great to be around. Take yourself out to dinner. I take myself out to dinner all the time, and I have the time of my life. And it's not for a lack of options. Not at all. It's because I don't want to deal with those options and those expectations. I want to go out and enjoy myself. I don't want somebody trying to figure out if they're going to be able to finesse me out of my drawers at the end of the night on every occasion. Learn to enjoy yourself. Sometimes a game of that can be fun, but learn to enjoy yourself by yourself, so you're not putting yourself in dangerous or bad situations. The other thing I want to encourage you guys this week on my first week back is you need to start holding men accountable for the things that they say to women. We got to stop laughing stuff off because we about to laugh ourselves out of having any rights. The thing I want you guys to delete from your vocabulary this week is female trait. And that is being something negative. One, because women are better people than men overall. And we all know that. And two, a lot of the things that they call female traits are things that men do anyway. Femininity is not evil. Men call it evil because they hate women. So anything they hate about themselves, they call it a female trait because they don't like us. And you need to understand the root of that and start pushing back on it. Gossiping is a female trait. The best gossip I've ever gotten is from men. Sitting in a group of men, you're going to get better gossip than you'll ever get from some women. Gossiping is I would say gossiping is a masculine trait, but in any case, both genders gossip. And gossip can be healthy, until it gets malicious. But what I'm saying is stop letting men call things a female trait in your presence and you're laughing and agreeing with them. Because they're not sitting up fighting back and arguing with these men saying y'all shouldn't have the right to vote. There's people on the news talking heads every day on here arguing if we should have the right to vote, if we should be able to go to school. And you don't hear them saying anything about that. You don't hear them posting. You don't see them posting stuff on Facebook saying it's disgusting that they're saying that women shouldn't be able to vote. It's disgusting that they're saying women shouldn't be able to go to school. You never see them write that. But let Aisha Curry say that she wants something out of life more than being a wife and a mother. Then they got a 4-page letter like they're Aaliyah. even though gossiping is a female trait. They become a misogyny gossip blog, constantly putting her down for not fitting into their idea of what Steph's wife should be. They'll come together to put down a woman having dreams of her own outside of what they think she should have, but be dead silent on these men saying that we don't deserve rights, we don't deserve abortion rights, we don't deserve to be able to vote, a man should be doing all the voting. They don't have no gossip for that. So you guys need to start pushing back. You need to start pushing back. If you're going to be a community with men, you need to start pushing back on their misogyny. You need to work on your own internalized misogyny. You need to stop calling things that you perceive as negative feminine. Especially when you know that, like I said, women are better people than men in most cases. I trust most women's word over a man's word any day. Because women gonna hold each other accountable. Men are not gonna hold each other accountable. Like I said, look how many people had something to say about Aisha Curry. Don't nobody be sitting up talking about how Offset was a terrible husband, how he sat up there and promised in front of God to be faithful and then was cheating. They're not gonna write a gossip column about that. That's on us to hold them accountable. And it's on us to leave them alone and stop dealing with them if they continue to be misogynistic. These are not just opinions, guys. Like I said, y'all about to laugh y'all way into having no rights. Things are serious right now. We already lost Roe v. Wade. It's not unfathomable that they'll try to take away our right to go to school or our right to vote. Ain't nobody pushing back on this stuff. Everybody get up and tweet and be like, oh my God, well, this is Nazism. This is being a Nazi. This is fascism. Yeah, they get on there and tweet, but they don't do nothing about it. The women in those states still can't get abortions. So don't sit up and think your rights won't go anywhere if we don't start making changes about how people think about us. If we don't start making changes about how we think about ourselves. You got to get in self-preservation mode. Some of us are not going to get married. And that's going to have to be necessary because a lot of these men don't deserve wives. You're going to have to start vetting men that you date to make sure that they are not misogynists. You're going to have to start leaving men alone who say things like that's a female trait. Because those things are like racism. If you're black like me, and I think so many people forget that a lot of these oppressive things are all interrelated. A person that's going to make a joke about your blackness that's negative, they'll call you the N-word. And when stuff hits the fan, they will not stick up for you. And y'all got to start thinking about misogyny in that same way. A man that thinks that gossiping is a female trait and that Aisha Curry doesn't have the right to want things outside of her husband because her husband pays for everything, so she should just be happy. That's a man that's not going to say anything when they come to take your rights away to vote and your rights to go to school away. Because if they cared about those things, they would be speaking out about them right now instead of wasting their time talking about things that women think or feel or what women are wearing, which are not consequential to them at all. Like I think about Angel Reese, how people were saying like, oh, well, she walked in the Victoria's Secret fashion show, but she told people not to sexualize her. Those are men who would not stand up for you and your right to be educated or to have a vote because they think that you as women are silly and dumb when they're the problem. They don't understand consent. They don't understand that Angel Reese said that because somebody made AI pornography of her. They don't understand that women have the right to decide when we want to be sexy, that we are not automatically sexy to them and wanting to hear about it. You could see me out and think I'm sexy. That might not mean I'm in the mood to talk to you about how sexy I am. And that's the thing about men is that they see us as something they should have access to. If you look good, if you out there on the Victoria's Secret runway, why can't I say something sexual to you? Why can't I send you a DM of my dick? Why can't I post something nasty under your picture? You're asking for it. That's how their minds work. You're asking for it. You don't get to decide when you're asking for it. I'm telling you when you're asking for it. That's what they're telling Angel Reese. If she walks in a Victoria's Secret fashion show, then the rest of the time they see her doing anything else, they are able to comment on her body because they don't believe in consent. And like I said, those things, it's a slippery slope with all of those things. A man like that doesn't believe in consent, he could put his hands on you. He could SA you. You got to pay attention to this stuff. The way people think, you have to pay attention to it, especially if you're a woman and you're heterosexual and you're dating men. This stuff is important. You may have felt comfortable in the past because you had so much power. We've never had equal power with them, but they're taking away the power we had. You may have felt comfortable in the past taking a risk. You can't take the risk you were taking before. We're in a new ball game. It's time for you guys to update your strategy and start thinking more clearly about what we need to be doing as women. So like I said, that's my assignment for you guys this week. Start pushing back on misogyny. Stop laughing at it and shrugging it off. If you're going to be in community with these men, demand your respect. Demand that they acknowledge you for what you are. You're the better person in 9 times out of 10 cases. Stop letting them talk about us like we don't make the world go round. And the last thing that I want to tell you guys this week is to please spend some time on yourself, loving yourself. I say this every week, but I want to encourage you. If you're in a bad relationship, you don't have to be in that relationship. Make a plan to get out. You can be alone and be happy. You can be alone and not be stressed. Go to the gym, go to the spa, book that massage. Find an hour this week that you did not have dedicated to yourself. Make it about yourself. Be selfish. That's what I'm challenging you to do, because we're going to need each other in these months to come. This conservative movement is not going to be over anytime soon. The Supreme Court is gone. Like I said, you don't know what rights are on the table to be lost next. We need each other. We need to take care of each other. You need to be in sisterhood in Congress with other women. Please join groups with women who are like-minded. Focus on making female friendships and take care of your health. Find some way to exercise, meditate, read, invest in yourself. I'm going to tell you guys that every week because I need you. We need each other. I need you to be in your right mind. I need you to stay here and stay focused and be understanding of the mission. I'm not saying you can't have fun. Have fun, go out, enjoy life, but pay attention to what is happening right now because things are not going to get better and you need to be in the right mindset. You don't want to be caught off guard. This ain't the world that we grew up in, y'all. This is not, and it may never be that again. So it's time. Join me next week. We're going to talk about more things, more current events. I'm going to talk to you guys about how that is impacting us. So come back, please. Thank you so much for lending me your ears. Like I said, give yourself some love this week. Find some friendship, fight some misogyny, and come on back.